Ինչի ենք միշտ մենք դուժում։ Ինչի մեր գլխին այս ամեն։
Those are two different questions. I would say that my first visit to Armenia was back in 2017. I was commissioned to make international kind of documentaries about the persecuted minorities around the world. Armenia was not on the list, but I added it on the list because of a individual encounter with a guy that had a lot to do with letting me know or getting me acquainted with Armenia. His name was Levon Derhagobian, and he was a photo dealer and also a international basketball referee. He's an Armenian Egyptian. He was the one who got me acquainted with Armenia and Armenians, and for years I knew from Levon about this amazing land. And Levon died just after 1 week from him telling me he didn't see that he accomplished what he wanted for his country. So when I got engaged into documentary filmmaking years after this will, I considered it was his last will for me. I then put and added Armenia to the list of the countries I want to do this project at, and it was my first time to come to Armenia. And the first moment I came to Zvartnots International Airport, I felt that I belong here. And yes, Armenia for me started as a passion when I was 16, but now it's more of a commitment. I felt that Armenia is being left alone. Armenia is being forgotten big time, and this is not fair. Nowadays, we have a war that is occurring in Ukraine, and everybody and all the international press and the international community are so much engaged in what happened. Back in 2020, in the 27th of September, I hoped to see the international community, the international press will shed the light on what is happening to Armenia. I remember on the 28th of September 2020, I was so angry of what's happening. I wrote a poem about what happened in Armenia called The Bleeding Pomegranate. I saw on news, because I was closely following what's happening, and I saw a pomegranate fall on the ground and as if it was bleeding. So I wrote this poem about what happened in Armenia, and since then I felt a bit responsible of making the voice of Armenians heard to the entire community, because I waited 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but nobody really did a thing for what happened. So at the end of 2020, I came through a network of people who are living in Goris, which is a city in Syunik province, the most southern province of Armenia, that they are receiving Artsakhi refugees. And through my friend and also the executive coordinator of Morad Zvatshairinik, Dr. Armen Mazlumian, he helped me in bringing that up, in getting the network together. So I came across the Women Resources Center in Goris, we started to work together to identify who we would like to be in the documentary. I set the highlights and we came into extensive interviews and extensive project management, and the pre-production of this project was hugely focusing on those people who will tell the story. I didn't came after the war because it would be very emotional, and this is not what I want to reveal through Morad Zvatshairinik. The Forgotten Homeland is to address both Armenians inside Armenia, Armenians in Spurk, in diaspora, and the international community. I was trying to find the balance, how I would make a documentary that would make perfect sense for Armenians in Armenia, for them not to feel forgotten, that someone is there for them. Given my commitment to Armenia, I felt like I should not leave them alone, feeling this bitter feeling that they were in a way betrayed by the international community. And on another level, I want the international community to see the truth, what really happened, because what happened in 2020 is not new for Armenians. In a way, it took place in 1915, and in a way, it took place in 1887, and I don't know when it will take place. So I wanted just to raise the flag that this country needs us. One more thing. If we get through the human accounts, we will find in the Bible and also in some other resources that many historians back in the day, they saw Ararat Plateau was the beginning of the human race. So as a human being, there is a collective responsibility that we need to have for this land and for these people. So I think also by what happened or what the war left us with by losing a lot of lands in Artsakh, I wanted to raise the flag for the importance of Syunik, because I don't think that, and this was said by one of the interviewees in Murad Zvat that I don't think that peace is near, and there is a rhetoric that the surrounding nations around Armenia, they won't stop at this stage. So I want to raise the flag for the international community to help Armenia and Armenians and to know exactly that Syunik should not be lost. The Women Resources Center in Goris opened the way to facilitate me getting into people's houses and for them to open their hearts for me. And this was a great thing. It's not easy that someone who is from different country would go and knock the doors of people who lost their lands and just they would be openly talking to him. So this was basically what the Women Resources Center helped me with. And of course, it takes a bit of time for the interviewee to be opened to you. But I think people are so smart and they can feel. If you want to take their stories and if you want to take their stories to an extent that you can share them with the world. So I wanted to bring first the stories that had been shared with me by Armenians and Artsakhis first to Armenia before Murad Zvat will go to the international film festivals. So I thought it would be an encouraging thing that Armenians would be the first who watch Murad Zvat. And by the premiere we had at the Golden Apricot Film Festival this year in 2022 and the following the screenings that took place in Goris and also in Gyumri, there was a great reception by audiences and also film critics. Part of what I had in mind, I saw it accomplished by that people felt that this has really done by them and also for them. Harut Kocharian. Harut Kocharian is a soldier who lost his leg in the war. Harut's words were more effective than bullets. They were more effective than headlines. They were more effective than all the drones and all the rockets that had been fired by the enemy at Armenia. I think by his resilience and by his love to his country, he sets a great example to the current generation, the younger generation in Armenia. Harut said that if there would be war again, he would definitely go, even in his current state. And for me, this is a statement that should be very much stick in the mind of the current generation of Armenia. Armenia is very precious. You shouldn't let it dissolve. You shouldn't let her disappear. You shouldn't just let her go. Maybe the international community has been indifferent towards the Armenian case and the Armenian cause, but I think that the current generation in Armenia should have their eyes and ears open for the treasure they have, so they can really guard it, as what happened with the older generations who, because of them and because of their sacrifice, you are living in Armenia that you know now. After the premiere in the Golden Apricot and the other screenings that took place in Armenia, I applied to our First Tree art production company, which is the production company of Murad Zvat. started to apply for international documentary film festivals, and I think that would be a great opportunity for the story of Armenia and Armenians to be known in such respected international cinema communities, documentary cinema communities. After that, we will see how things will go, but it will be great also to come one more time to Armenia so we can present this film for villages and cities who would like to know that people do care and you are not alone. My ideas to Armenia are not only related to filmmaking no, there are many other projects that has to do with photo exhibitions, books that are written about Armenia, but it is not necessarily, or those projects are not necessarily focusing on the war. They are more actually focusing on the life of Armenians, for the cultural elements that this land really possesses. And I want to reflect the beauty of this land. And my current and future projects regarding Armenia will be more rooted in the identity of Armenia and Armenians, because we shouldn't only reflect war, genocide about Armenia. We should reflect the resilience and the hope that made this nation withstand all those atrocities throughout its entire history. Because if I would see the history of Armenia that dark and bloody, which is the case actually, but I would just think, how did this nation survive? What is this magical component that so far had not been gone? What makes you so resilient? What makes you so clinging to your identity? This is exactly what I want to reflect in my next projects for Armenia. This does not mean that I will forget what happened. I will forget those 5,000 who died, absolutely not. But I want also the international community to see that Armenia is a place of life, not death.